Have you ever just felt hopeless or lost in your own life, lacking any sort of direction? The days just pass by as a blur, and you can't tell how much time you've spent feeling this way. You know that things cannot stay as they are, yet you do nothing except wait and hope and dream of a better life. But the truth is, no one is coming to save you. Whatever it is that you want in this life, the only person who can help you is yourself. So really, change must start from within. To transform your life, you have to transform yourself. Hajime no Ippo is a story all about this very idea. We follow Makunouchi Ippo, a weak and socially awkward high school boy with no friends. His father long dead, he spends most of his free time helping his mother out with the family fishing boat business. His timid and shy nature makes him an easy target for bullies, and because he lacks any sort of guts or self-respect, he doesn't fight back. Even when his mother is made the subject of jokes, all he can manage is an angry glare that lasts for just a moment before he turns back into the same old coward that he is. It's obvious he's not happy with himself, yet he does nothing about it. The idea that he could stand up for himself doesn't even cross his mind. It all seems so hopeless until a professional boxer by the name of Takamura shows up. He makes quick work of the bullies, sending them running away in fear. This is a life-changing moment for Ippo because he sees for the first time the virtue of strength. Being strong doesn't just mean abusing those weaker than you. Strength can be used for good as much as it can be used for bad. And it's thanks to their chance meeting that Ippo realizes that maybe things don't have to stay the way they are. That maybe just like Takamura, he too can be strong. But what does it mean to be strong?
強いって何なんですか? 強いってどんな気持ちなんですか?
He becomes haunted by this question and pursues boxing in the hopes of one day finding an answer. From the beginning, Ippo faces challenges in his quest to become a new person. After all, to be a professional boxer is no trivial matter, and really, to change your life or to achieve anything great requires that you be sincere. When Ippo confesses his desire to go into boxing, Takamura initially reacts with anger. He feels insulted because it seems as though Ippo underestimates how difficult the life of a boxer is. But he soon realizes that Ippo is being genuine. Crying and asking Takamura what it means to be strong, we can easily feel the desperation that Ippo has to become a new person. So Takamura gives him a test. He has to catch 10 falling leaves from a tree using only his jabs. If he succeeds, Takamura will help him become a pro fighter. But Takamura knows no amateur could possibly pull this off. He intentionally gave Ippo this challenge to make him give up, thinking he'd be better off that way. It's a difficult feat that Ippo finds near impossible at first, but instead of quitting, he throws himself fully to the task, working relentlessly day and night, pushing through moments of intense self-doubt. By the time Takamura sees him again, he's forgotten all about the test. Curious why Ippo wants to see him, he follows the kid back to the same old tree. And there, Ippo shocks him by doing the impossible, catching exactly 10 falling leaves with his jabs. Takamura is stunned and is left with no choice but to uphold his side of the bargain. It's quite a poetic start for Ippo's journey that reflects real life. With any goal or ambition you may have, you're going to run into resistance. At times, moving forward will feel impossible, but you have to stick it through and keep working at it. And just like Ippo catching some falling leaves, you're going to enjoy your own small victories or milestones that you'll hit along your journey. With Hajime no Ippo, Morikawa perfectly captures what it means to not only want to change oneself, but also how one takes the steps or actions to do so. Yes, it's a series about boxing, but more than that, it's a story about being human. We all have dreams and visions of who we want to become, and Ippo's story draws us in because he desperately chases his own, no matter the odds. Ippo naturally has to start from scratch when it comes to boxing. He does have a decently developed body thanks to all the heavy lifting he does at the family business, but it's not enough and his technique is sorely lacking. So we go alongside him as he learns boxing from the ground up, mastering fundamentals such as jabs, uppercuts, blocks, and footwork. What's to be appreciated is how the series does not rush Ippo's progression. He doesn't suddenly become a champion fighter overnight, and no matter how far along we are in the story, there's always more work to be done. Again, this is true to life. If you want to be great at something, then you're always going to be looking to improve and get better. There's no question a lot of research went into making the portrayal of boxing as realistic as possible, and it makes sense when you consider that Morikawa himself is a lifelong fan of the sport and runs his own gym in Tokyo called JB Sports. Drawing from his own intimate understanding of the world of boxing, he seamlessly incorporates real-world experience into the narrative of Hajime no Ippo. Look at the way the training regimens are designed, how injuries are shown to be managed, and the references are made to real-life boxers such as Mike Tyson and Thomas Hearns. But the series doesn't just stop there. It also explores the psychology of being a fighter, showing how one's state of mind is just as important as one's physical abilities. Boxers have to grapple with fear, pressure, and self-doubt, and so mental toughness becomes a recurring theme of the story. Again and again, Ippo has to fight not only against his actual opponent in the ring, but also himself. It's this careful balance of technical realism, thoughtful pacing, and psychological depth that makes the boxing in Hajime no Ippo so compelling, such that even if you're not a big fan of the sport itself, you'll still find yourself drawn in by the story. The fights in the series are exhilarating. It's so rewarding to see all the training Ippo undergoes come to life within the ring. Whether it's using the peekaboo style of fighting or the legendary Dempsey roll, every move he makes is the result of days, weeks, and months of grueling practice. So much storytelling takes place within the ring through this visual medium of trading blows that leaves us on the edge of our seats. Morikawa succeeds in making every fight full of suspense, where a certain victory can easily turn into crushing defeat. He captures the real unpredictable nature of boxing. You could do all the training in the world, but there's no guarantees once you step into the ring. Mike Tyson said it best himself. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. But the story isn't merely a compilation of back-to-back matches. We're given time to genuinely learn about each opponent, to understand their motivations, their insecurities, and even their inner demons. Everybody's circumstances are different, and so no two boxers will necessarily fight for the same reasons. As well as this, the outcome of every fight carries real emotional weight. Whether it's the sweet euphoria of winning or the bitter taste of losing, it's all portrayed so well that you're often left feeling bad for the characters you're supposed to root against. I must also mention the sound design of the animation. Every punch is so satisfying to hear, and the music excels in elevating the tension of every match. I found that songs such as Stand Proud perfectly capture this theme of wanting to overcome that's present in every fight both in and out of the ring. Overall, the emotional depth elevates each match beyond just being a dramatic display of violence. Every fight in Hajime no Ippo carries real personal weight, shaped by what each character has been through and what they're fighting for. Because of this, the story never loses sight of the human element, and it's that element which keeps us truly invested and wanting to learn more. The series places great emphasis on the importance of human connection, featuring an impressively large supporting cast. Takamura is the one who inspires Ippo to go into boxing. Loud, vulgar, and egotistical, he could not be any more different to Ippo. Yet Ippo clearly admires him, seeing him as something of a role model. Even through all the teasing and practical jokes that Takamura plays on him, he's still one of the first people Ippo goes to when needing advice or guidance. Although naturally very gifted, he really does put in the work, and Ippo is a witness to that. Whether it's making extreme weight cuts or dealing with the immense pressure of representing his country at the national level, Takamura shows us that to be strong does not mean to be free from struggle. Coach Kamigawa, who trains Ippo for most of the series, represents boxing of the old school. A strict and demanding teacher, he helps take Ippo from absolute zero and builds him up into a formidable fighter. Kamigawa provides Ippo with the structure and discipline he had always sorely lacked. Morikawa himself commented on this, explaining how with no father at home and an extremely lenient mother, Ippo secretly craves the strict and masculine nature of Kamigawa's teaching. It's why throughout the series, Ippo goes to great lengths to please him. In a sense, the old man represents the traditional Japanese samurai spirit. He cherishes values such as having courage and never surrendering no matter what. This philosophy of his does have merit, helping Ippo achieve great success within the ring. But in many ways it's outdated and leads to Ippo taking on more damage than needed. Aoki and Kimura are two fighters that are not as fortunately blessed with innate boxing talent. By the start of the series, they have already been fighting for quite some time, with little to show for it. Now, in the twilight of their boxing careers, they face the scary possibility of retiring without ever having accomplished anything noteworthy. They support Ippo in their own charming ways, but they also reflect a real side of boxing and sports in general, which is that not everyone can become a superstar champion. It sounds unfair, but it's true. For every Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali or whoever, there are hundreds, if not thousands of fighters that you have never heard of. Their struggle is something that we can all somewhat relate to. It's the idea that maybe we're not cut out for the dreams and goals we've set for ourselves, and the alarming fear that maybe we've wasted too much time pursuing the wrong things. There's many more characters that I could spend all day talking about, but for the sake of brevity, I won't. What I will say, however, is that certain characters definitely do get neglected or at times forgotten about, but this is typical for a series spanning as many chapters as Hajime no Ippo. Overall, Morikawa has not only crafted a world that feels truly alive, but one in which we care deeply about the characters that inhabit it. Let's go back to Ippo's question, what does it mean to be strong? It's a question that he spends his entire boxing career searching for an answer to. Morikawa's position on the subject is made quite clear. Although Ippo's progress as a professional fighter is remarkable, going from essentially a nobody to a possible contender for a world champion, he still does not count himself amongst the strong. Ippo in many ways is still the same little boy we meet at the start of the story. We're given hints to this by Morikawa himself throughout the series. For example, when Date refers to his punches as being light, he's not talking in a literal sense. Or when Ippo goes to his high school reunion and all his former classmates comment on how he hasn't changed at all. Being strong is not about how hard of a punch you can land or even how much muscle you're packing. It's something that comes from within. It's your character really that counts. Your ability to keep going even when it feels as though the world is conspiring against you. It's tenacity, it's persistence, it's determination against all odds. It's having the resolve to take what you want, even if it means sometimes becoming a monster. Ippo wanted to become a new person, which is an admirable goal, but no amount of wins or accomplishments can do that for him, because if you still think the same way you always have, then you are the same person you always were. This brings us full circle to the idea that changing your life takes more than just hard work. It takes courage to face parts of yourself that might be holding you back. Without real personal growth, you can only make it so far. Hence why the series emphasizes the importance of mental toughness and willpower so much, because it's really hinting at the fact that a champion, or just any great person in general, is where they're at due to the way they think. So remember, with anything in life, it's all about your state of mind. The series is most definitely more than just a sports shonen. Having for decades now captured the hearts and minds of many, it speaks to something universal that we can all in our own ways relate to. The struggle to grow, to overcome fear, and find meaning through suffering. Each of us have our own dreams and aspirations. In our minds, we can see the person that we are capable of being. And whenever we don't live up to these expectations that we've set for ourselves, it's soul-crushing. This is a big part of why Ippo's story draws us in. He doesn't start off as someone special. He isn't loud, confident, or chasing big dreams from the beginning. He starts from zero, unsure of himself and uncertain of what he really wants. But that's what makes his journey so compelling. We get to see real growth, not just in his skills as a boxer, but in who he is as a person. It feels honest and inspires you, because if someone like Ippo can change and move forward, then why not you? If you enjoyed this essay, then I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. I'd like to continue making these kinds of videos, and with your support, I'll be able to devote more time to doing exactly that. This has been Ulexis. Thank you for watching.